They're driving in their car. They start to chase me. I hit a tree. They get out the car, get pistol whipped, and then I get shot in my back. Watching your mom cry about not wanting to die, bro, it is like one of the hardest things.
How much contact do you have with your daughter?
So she was just about to turn 1, and I still haven't spent a birthday with her. But that's my next fight, bro, is to go get her. I'll give up all this if it was go be a full-time dad. Bro, the only thing I've ever had was a self-belief that I'm a bad motherfucker.
Here is Albert Inclan.
So, Albert Inclan, you are here in Arizona. This is where you're from. This is where you were born. This is where you always grew up. Tell me your story. How did Albert Inclan's story start?
So if we're going back to how I became the fighter that I am.
I want to know about Albert Inclan, and then what we'll do is we'll get to know Albert Inclan, and then we'll get to know Albert Inclan, the fighter, and then we'll see how the two compare. But I want to know about where you grew up, or, you know, are you from here? Did you move here? How did it all begin?
I grew up on the east side of Phoenix for maybe till I was 5. I was in and out of school. I was like kindergarten, and I remember walking down the street around midnight. And it was like, man, now that I look back at it, it's like, man, who let the 5-year-old outside like that? You know, and I just remember being free and not people knowing where I was at. I was at a friend's house for 2 weeks at that age just because I wanted, like, family. I really never really had that growing up. It was always chaotic. So fighting, it just became my thing as a child. We grew up in shelters. I remember going to gymnasiums, and our unit was separated by cubicles, and then having to sleep close by the entrance just to make sure that they that no weirdos would walk in. There's just so many layers to that, you know. Being young at that age and being very consciously aware of what you're doing. And, like, knowing, like, yo, there has to be a way out of this. And just always fighting. And I remember vividly this, I was riding my bike, and I fell. And I was looking around to see if somebody was going to pick me up. Then I realized I was by myself. And then I had to pick myself up. So it was just that, just falling off the bike, put it into my head, like, yo, nobody's going to come and save you. Especially being at that age, you know, 5 years old, roaming around. It was, I don't know, it just put things into perspective of, yo, I want to get out of here, and it's going to have to be myself. So since I was five years old, I was thinking about being a fighter and getting out of all the mess. So, yeah, man, it's just a lot. And I don't know, man, I've just been always mature for my age, you know, and when I see my older brother go to prison in and out, he's supposed to, like, be the one to protect everybody. So then it gets put on you. So when all that responsibility gets put on you of protecting everybody, you can't go to the street, because going to the street is going to make you go to jail. We'll be evicted a lot of the times, you know, because we couldn't make it. We'll be leaving friend's house in boxes just with our clothes. So it's like seeing my mom keep persevering through all the mess kind of kept me going, because she could have given up, and because she was on drugs growing up. You know, she gave them up because our family was going to give us up. So it was like, yo, you get your shit together or you're going to lose your kids. She got her shit together. Watching her keep going, it kind of just helped me want to stay on track. Because, my mom was on my ass all the time, and I was a bad kid, and I would fight all the time. It's in me, bro. Growing up, my brother, I think that's the only thing I could thank him for is putting that dog in me. If he got in an argument with the older brother, I'm there for the younger brother.
You know, that's a pretty good start, Albert, to understanding who you are and the makeup of you and what kind of shaped you, I suppose, in those early years of your life. And you mentioned your mum and kind of the strength that she gave you. You didn't mention your dad at all in that period.
Oh yeah. I don't know the true story, but as I got older, like mom, before she passed away, she kind of told me a little bit. It was more of my older sister and my younger sister have the same dad, and I come in the middle. So you could say I'm an accident. So yeah, and my dad tried to be around, I heard, and my mom wasn't having it. And there's only so much you could do, especially at that time era. There's only so much you could do until that you lose track. So yeah, my mom just kept leaving and kept ignoring him, and he was trying to find me. And eventually, I think he moved states. I don't know who he is, his name or nothing. She just never really told me. And that's pretty much where it ends.
You ever met him?
No. Me and my older brother, the one that's in prison, are the only ones that haven't met. So there's 4 dads and 6 of us, I believe. Yeah, there's 4 dads and 6 of us, and we're the only 2 that never met our dads. He knows him, but he just never met him. I don't know him or never met mine.
Do you think that's where some of this comes from? Do you think, this kind of chip on your shoulder fighter, this kind of, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but like seeking approval through fighting? Do you think the lack of a father figure growing up, do you think that has something to do with it?
I think if I had a father figure, maybe would have kept me on track. But because the role model I looked up to as growing up was my brother, and like, dude, I'm not gonna lie, he wasn't the best role model. Like, when I was a child, I remember I was still in grade school, under 3rd grade. I think it was the 2nd or 1st grade. I was smoking weed because he was giving it to me. I was going to school high. So as much as I'm like, yeah, I thank him for putting that dog in me and making me like that aggressor that don't care who you are, we're going to fight. I thank him for that. But also it's like, damn, you dropped the ball on a lot of other things that you probably shouldn't have been doing. So that's why me and him don't really talk. I haven't talked to him in a few years.
When did you decide to take fighting seriously? I mean, obviously, you always have to take fighting seriously in some way, shape, or form. If you're fighting on the street, it's a serious thing to do. But you know what I mean? With kind of like with boxing or bare knuckle fighting, when did you ever kind of consider that as a career path?
I always wanted to be a fighter. And so after high school, I was going to culinary school for a while. It just wasn't for me. It's like fighting kept calling me in a weird sense. Like, I can go get a job, make good money, but when it's not what you want inside your heart, it's going to come back later, years later, and bite you in the ass. And I just never wanted to be. I know I could fight, dude, but I just never want to be one of those guys that could have been. I could have been this. I could have been that. But nah, like, it's just always been in me, and I've been training. I couldn't find anybody really to want to work with me. And it's half the time, I'm not going to lie, I was still young, and I'm thinking you got all the time in the world. So I was 1 foot in, 1 foot out. But what really made me take the step was after I got shot.
You got shot. How did that happen?
Okay. So, my in-laws, my daughter's mother and my daughter's brother, it was when you want to do good and they can't really accept that, and they're on drugs and they think you're doing good and coming around, that you think you're too good for them. So they start to build some kind of enviness or some weird energy towards you. So I try to get my daughter's mom to walk away from her family. So she didn't. So I had to walk away from the mom because I knew something was going to happen. And next thing you know, on a Sunday, I go visit my daughter. And as I'm dropping them off, the mom was waiting for me. So we went through a little chase through the neighborhood. The mom gets out, pulls out her gun, starts talking crazy. I'm talking the grandmother. So let's stay on track. So the grandmother gets out the car, starts talking to me crazy, and I stay calm because I have my daughter and my daughter's mom in the back seat. They don't say nothing. Come to find out, my daughter's mom knew about it, so it was more of setting me up, this whole situation. I come across them. They're driving in their car. They start to chase me. I hit a tree. From hitting the tree, I ended up crashing my car. They get out the car, get pistol whipped, and then I get shot in my back because I rolled over. And just the way I timed it, it just happens like it does in the movie, dude. They hit you, take a step back, and take a shot. And it's just, God was with me. And here I am.
When was that?
That was in 2019. And from 2019, that was, my daughter was born July 11, 2018. So she was just about to turn 1. And I still haven't spent a birthday with her. So from there, I lost everything, man. You talking about your car, where you live at, where you work at, because you can't work. You can't pay your bills. You don't have a car no more. You go back to the ghetto neighborhood, what we call the projects out here. You're around everything that you never wanted to be around in your mid-20s. Man, that's like a punch in your gut, bro. You know?
Your life as a fighter, where did you start? Talk to us about your boxing, or your fighting, rather, career.
So my fighting career started because my brother has a mentor, and his mentor sent my brother a flyer for me to look at. It was a bare-knuckle tryout. And it was about, I think, a year after I got shot. I went through the tryout, and I just remember them saying my name. Yo, who's that kid? And Albert Inclan. So it was dope. You know, all right. But they couldn't sign me because I had no amateurs. So they said, we like you, but you got to get some amateur fights. But I just knew who to talk to in bare-knuckle, and I, like, harassed them, you know, respectfully. They said, you know what? You think you got what it takes? One of the coaches said, fly out here to Florida, spar the guy. And he was pound for pound at the time, named Jarod. I flew out there to Florida, met his coach, Ryan Perez. We warmed up, got in the ring, and I'm not gonna lie, I took an ass whooping, but I ate his hardest shot. I got mad, and I said, all right, we gonna scrap. So we started fighting. But just based off me taking that hard shot and not taking no knee, and I just said, you know, I got mad more than anything, and we started fighting. They liked it. I was out there for a whole week on my own money, the hotel on my own. They said, come out here again in 2 more months. They had another tryout. I went to the tryout with my suitcases still, right off the flight. They're like, damn, Albert, don't fucking stop. You know, like, it's one thing to tell a fighter, yo, come back, and he not say he's going to come back and not come back, but he keeps coming back like, yo, when you going to bring me in? And then they just said, forget it. You know what? We're going to bring you in. And that's how I got the shot. I just had to keep telling them, yo, give me a shot. My first fight, I fought David Diaz. He happened to be at the same tryout as me, but he was already established. He had a few fights already. They brought me in to lose, but I knew I could beat this guy. But nobody in Phoenix wanted to train a bare-knuckle fighter. They didn't know what that was. That's some backyard dog shit. And I was like, nah, man, it's a real sport. Like, just help me. Nope. So I did everything on my own, like an open gym.
So what's your record in bare-knuckle? How many fights have you had?
I've had 4. And I like to say I'm 3-1, but I'm technically, I hate to say this, I'm 1-3. But see, my first one, I went the distance. I whooped his ass too, but I got tired. No experience whatsoever. They liked it. So like, okay, cool. They brought me back February of last year, and my mom had passed away a week before that fight of cancer. And it wasn't that my mom passed away that I won that fight, because, like, I'm a skilled fighter, man. I could fight. My mom always taught me to brush it off. Anything that hits you in life, you brush it off and you keep it moving. So that, I kept it moving. I whooped the shit out that guy. Knocked his mouthpiece out twice. Then my third fight was this past February. It was against some guy named Garcia. I was doing my thing, went to his hometown. I don't look at him. I look away. Don't notice his little placement of his feet move. I get caught with a shot, flash knockdown, get back up. I'm smiling. Then I whoop his ass, but they give him the fight. It is what it is. And this past fight, I fought a big opponent, a big guy. And just, I couldn't see no more in the 5th round. You know, I could have kept going. I could have dogged it out. But it was just knowing I'm not going to be able to see a punch come. And it was going to affect me. Maybe I'll be blind. So I just had to put my ego to a side and live to fight another day and just take a knee. It sucked, man. But it is what it is. So, yeah, I'm only 1-3. But in my mind, I'm 3-1. You know, because I've only truly been beaten this last fight. You know, that's when I had to take a knee. But all these other fights, I've held it. I came close. If there was another round, it would have been my fight.
You mentioned before your second fight that your mum passed away. Obviously, you mentioned how close you were with your mum earlier on in the interview, how you know she was always there to look out for you. What was that like?
Fuck, it sucks, man, because watching your mom cry about not wanting to die, bro, it is like one of the hardest things. I remember sitting outside of her friend's house. They had a nice big backyard, couple swings, you know, hearing the birds chirper, and her just sitting there like banging on the chair, crying out of frustration. Because anything in life that's been thrown at us, we're able to navigate through it and persevere, you know, come out on top. But when you try to be optimistic so much and be positive and like, oh no, like look the bright side of everything, and then you finally get like that reality of like, no, you're gonna die. Like, there's no way around it. It sucks because you can't do nothing and she can't do nothing for herself. You're helpless, you know, and it just like, it motivates you, but also, man, it starts to create like, you look at yourself and you're like, fuck, Albert, you dropped the ball also. Because if you realize if you would have been disciplined in this shit since right out the book, right out of high school, and not got lost up in life, by the time you would have been 25, I'm 29 now, but by the time you would have been 25, your mom would have been good, your family would have been good, but you're thinking you have all the time in the world. Like, nah, I'm 18 now, I can get it by 24, 25. I'll be good. By the time you're 23, you think, nah, I got a couple more years, 10 years after high school, I'll be good. I became professional on the 10th year of me graduating. After graduation, 10 years, on the 10th year, I became a professional fighter. So if those 9 years, if I would have had my shit together, my mom wouldn't have passed away in the trailer that she was living in. She would have had a nice house. If I would have known I would have been a fighter, what I am right now, I could have been this years ago. But when you have no structure, that no role model, nobody to tell you, hey, yo, lock in. Hey, what are you doing? The only role models you have are the drug dealer friends you have, that you guys are doing what you're doing. It kind of messes everything up, bro. It kind of builds some... Like, you dropped the ball on her. Like, damn. Oh, now I gotta take a little second. But yeah, bro, it's it gets to you, man, after a while. That's why, like, every fight I fight, it's not more of just me going in there. It's for all of us. It's you gotta let him know, like, hey, yo, we're gonna be good. Let me take a little second real quick, my guy. But yeah, bro, It sucks. You know, I go to her grave a lot, and it sucks. You know, 'cause like once you grow up, like very close with everybody, and it's just been you guys versus everybody. It fucks with you. 'Cause as the oldest one, I mean, I have an older sister, but as the oldest male, you should have fucking had your shit together. When you don't have no structure, no role model to tell you, or no coach to believe in you. Bro, the only thing I've ever had was a self-belief that I'm a bad motherfucker. That's the only shit I've ever had in my life, is I'm a bad motherfucker. No one ever believed that I could be a professional. And any gym I gone to, they never really looked at me as I could be their fighter. They just looked at me like I could be a sparring partner or something like that. And yeah, bro, it just fucks with you. But I know I'm good, you know? I know my mom's still watching me. It just sucks that she passed away in the circumstances that she passed away in.
When you got shot in the back, what injuries did you sustain? What was your recovery time? What happened from there on in? So you get shot, and then what?
I healed up pretty good, but the real healing was more internal. I think that's where a lot of my shit came from, was internal. I'm a family man, and when you have a daughter that was planned, not unexpectedly, it means something to me, you know? And it's like, man, it sucks.
How much contact do you have with your daughter?
So the last time I don't have no contact. It's more than a year now since Father's Day last year, because we had an incident, and before that, I hadn't seen her for almost a year too. And Arizona, it's a mother state. So when it's a mother state, it becomes years for you to see your kid. And it just took a lot. I had to build back from losing everything, getting your own place, getting your own car, going back to work, and then now being consistent, trying to make everything count. But that's my next fight, bro, is to go get her. I'll give up all this if it was go be a full-time dad. So, yeah, it sucks.
Okay, Albert, we're almost there. The last question I have, really, I mean, I've listened to, a tremendous story and getting to know what kind of makes you tick and what's moulded you up to this point. I guess I want to know now what you see for yourself in the future. Let's say in 10 years' time, we're sat down again, and it may be here in Phoenix, Arizona, it may be in a different state in America, maybe in the UK or somewhere else. What do you want us to be talking about then in 10 years' time? When I sit down and I say, Albert, what have you been up to and what are you doing now? What would you like to sit down and tell me?
That if I could pull off winning a world title in boxing, I think that would be the most savagest shit ever, coming from a guy with no amateurs, coming from a guy that came up through Bareknuckle, coming from a guy that came from where I come from, to be able to be like, yeah, I put off a world title, or maybe something close to a world title in boxing, you know, at least a few bouts. But in 10 years' time, I want you to be able to tell you, like, hey, I pulled that shit off. You know, I got some acres over here in Flagstaff. Got the family situated. I'm good. Got businesses. I want to open up a little mini market called Nia's Market out here, a franchise for my daughter, little grocery stores here and there. Nothing too big, just little, more for the neighborhood's sake than anything else. It's made a big difference in the state. 10 years from now, hopefully, I'll be a world champion. I was thinking maybe becoming a cop to get into politics out here, because if you want to make real change, you got to go through the politic ways. It's one thing to be out here, but if you want true power to make real change and put people in positions to make those kind of changes, you got to go through there. And how we had a politician come to JL recently, these little weird things I feel like the universe is throwing at me, you know? Be like, hey, yo, here, as long as you never gave up, And I want to say that story before we end, too. The way I didn't give up was I found a fortune cookie on the floor through the midst of after getting shot, and it said never give up. And ever since then, dude, anything that life has thrown at me, I don't give up. My mom passing away, I don't give up. My daughter situation, I don't give up. Because everybody has a story, bro. Everyone's been through some shit. I'm not the only one going through this shit. People has been through worse, you know? So I can't use that as an excuse. We use that as motivation. So in 10 years, hopefully I accomplish becoming a champ. Got my family situated. I made some change in the city. Made some friends. I've traveled the world. So hopefully I could say that. But I want to box more than anything else. That's what I want to do.